Let's see. Hey, babe. Quick question. For him, slam down or kind of up?
Down or up?
You need to be able to see your eyes.
So, is this good?
I wish you would wear the sunglasses.
I always wear the shades.
Well, then, you know what? Tilt your thing up then.
Looking deep into the universe is like taking a trip down memory lane. The farther from Earth we look, the farther back in time we see. The farther back in time we see.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this historic moment in Bedford TV history and wrestling history. Welcome to the 30th episode of the greatest wrestling show to ever hit the local airwaves, The Wrestling Connection. I am your host, as always, your connection to the wrestling world, Ken Hill, alongside me. Thank you. Alongside me, as always, the madman of the wrestling world himself, Zachary Martinkus.
What is up, everybody? I hope you're all having a weekend, because we sure as heck are. Now, we want to apologize, though, for Ashley not being here this week. Unfortunately, she is with us on the side, though, but she ain't really feeling too hot. So, but don't worry, though. Even though it's the original co-founders of it, though, we will make sure that the Davis dish will not go unserved.
Exactly. Now, before we start things, we had some recent tragic news in the wrestling world. The loss of former WCW and WWE competitor Sean O'Haire, a former three-time WCW Tag Team Champion, all on a great big competitor. First came into the wrestling industry in 2000 in WCW, young upstart. Came to WWE in 2002 as part of the WCW ECW Invasion Force. Stuck around in WWE for a couple of years. Developed what you would call a devil's advocate persona of sorts, where he encouraged people to be bad. He encouraged people to cheat on their taxes. He encouraged people to rob, to steal. I mean, essentially I'm telling you, I'm not telling you what you don't already know, was his motto, was his catchphrase. And it's what we should remember for. But in any case, our condolences go out to the family and friends of Sean O'Haire.
Guys, we're going to have a moment of silence.
All right.
And a moment of silence for Sean O'Haire.
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
Our hearts go out to fans and family of Sean O'Haire.
May rest in peace.
Now changing gears. Night of Champions fast approaching. In a couple of weeks, things have been really heating up the past week. We go to this past Monday night on Raw, where we actually it was the season premiere of Monday Night Raw, and we opened with a monumental steel cage match, the rubber match of sorts, between Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho.
Yep.
Now, minus the annoying little play button right here, since it was the best photo I could find.
Yes,
This was the marquee moment of the match. It was a back and forth affair, neck to neck. Both men had made several attempts to escape, pinfalls. I mean, it was a closely fought match. But this was the pinnacle moment where, a la Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Jericho just took a flying leap, a flying crossbody off the steel cage onto Bray Wyatt, subsequently injuring his knee. It wasn't a severe injury, but it would hamper Chris Jericho and eventually cost him the match as P and Bray Wyatt struggled to get out of the cage.
Yeah.
Bray would start hammering on Jericho's injured leg, allowing him to roll out to the ring and claim victory, and ultimately the monumental victory in their feud.
Yeah, but just an insult to injury, what he decided to do while Chris Jericho's leg was still kind of dangling on the steel, was it the steel steps, I think?
The steel steps, slamming the cage door into the injured leg.
Yeah, which I'm like, yeesh. Was that really necessary? I mean, come on.
And then, just as an exclamation point, dragging him back into the middle of the steel cage and hitting the sister Abigail just to stick a pin in it.
Nice.
So, and the big question coming out of this is, now that Bray Wyatt has won the feud, has won the war of Chris Jericho, I mean, really, where did the two go? Where does Jericho go from here? Where does Bray Wyatt go from here? I mean, rumors are circulating that Jericho is going to have an upcoming match with Randy Orton, because from what we saw later in the night, Jericho was getting iced backstage. He was getting his knee checked backstage, and Orton, who was planning on proving a point to the Authority and to send a message to his opponent for later in the night, Roman Reigns, would assault Jericho and further exacerbate the knee injury, trying to reestablish himself as the big threat in WWE.
Nice, then also just really an insult to injury, he decided to go getting right next to Chris Jericho and basically saying, hey, it's the season premiere. Why not?
Why not, indeed.
Which is redundant. All I can say is absolutely redundant.
So we go from a whole ton of action to a whole lot of melodrama. One of the biggest advertised segments here was a segment involving the Bella twins, Nikki and Brie, hashing out their differences with famed talk show host Jerry Springer. And of course, this about ended as well as you would expect. Brie and Nikki, I mean, their parents got involved on the Titantron. I mean, their baby brother came out to side with Brie over Nikki. I mean, the two came to blows. Brie finally exploded on Nikki, just spearing her to the ground, throwing punches. I mean, they ended up rolling over Jerry Springer at one point, as you can see right here. And Jerry was the one who suffered the most out of all this. Well, of course, everyone had to suffer through the segment. But Jerry ended up suffering the most physically, as he ended up with supposedly ended up with a bruised rib and a twisted ankle.
Which, and also the funny thing is too, even Stephanie McMahon tried to get involved in that, tried to separate Brie, which really didn't do such a hot job.
Stephanie was the one responsible for causing Jerry's ankle to be twisted, and you can see here Jerry being carted off, giving the big old thumbs up, letting everyone know he was okay. And this just goes to show that even Jerry Springer it just goes to show that even in his old age, Jerry... Seriously?
Are we done?
Are we good?
I knew it was too good. I knew it was too good to be true. I knew it.
Thanks.
But yeah, just H Poke, you owe me a Coke.
And it just goes to show that even at his old age, he's better at selling than John Cena ever will.
Yeah, and something tells me, though, if Dr. Phil were to be involved in this, I don't think it would do such... I don't think it'd be any better.
Yeah, I don't think there would have been much difference.
Yeah, something tells me at least one of the bells would have probably slapped the rest of the hair that he has left gone. Dr. Phil would be completely bald.
He has hair left?
Yeah, he's got hair on the sides though. Mike Ramiro watches Dr. Phil, okay? I hate that guy.
Well, moving on. Moving on, we had what I thought was one of the big emotional segments. I mean, you had, like I said, you had everything in the season premiere. You had the action with the steel cage match. You had the melodrama with the Jerry Springer segment. Now you had the emotion. Now you had the passion. And what we saw with Heyman and Cena was one of the most passionate promos I had ever seen out of both men.
Oh, no
I mean,
doubt.
it was Heyman essentially stressing Cena. Haven't you ever just wanted to go into the audience, those guys who tell you that Cena sucks? Haven't you just wanted to go out there and pop them one? And believe me, we've all been there. I mean, we see someone that like talks smack about us. You want to go over there and smack the taste out of their mouth.
I'm guilty of that.
Been there. And but I mean, you don't want to get. I mean, it's so easy to give into temptation, but the problem is you have a hard time coming back. And Heyman says that this is the only way you're ever going to have a chance against Lesnar, is to give in, is to stop being John Cena, stop acting like John Cena. And you saw for a brief moment that Cena was tempted. He was tempted to go out there, but then he started talking about the kids that do homework because of him. He talks about the soldier over in the Middle East that brought home a Purple Heart and gave it to John Cena because John Cena inspired him to be tough, to be brave. And I mean, it was a promo based in reality. It was when John Cena like stops all the jokes, stops all the merchandise shilling, and just we see his raw being, his raw self, his emotional self. That's the Cena I like. That's the Cena I like to see, because then I know this is going to be a good feud when we just see Cena at his core.
Not to mention, though, also kind of slowly but surely bringing out the ruthless aggression that he had back in 2002 when he first debuted against Kurt Angle.
And again, we've stressed this over the last couple weeks. This is the ruthless aggression he's going to need against Lesnar. Otherwise, history is going to end up repeating itself, like what happened at SummerSlam. But this time, I don't think Lesnar's going to stop.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do that, and
if he ends up putting Cena out for good.
Yeah, if Cena doesn't let that ruthless aggression side out of him, then he's gonna get a mud hole stomping him worse than he did in SummerSlam, or better yet, even worse than Extreme Rules back in 2012.
Yeah, different battlefield, same result.
Exactly.
If he doesn't ratchet things up. Now, going on, we had the main event, Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, the big rematch from SummerSlam, and it wasn't as eventful as we thought it was. I mean, Roman Reigns closing on the victory, took everything Orton had to throw at him, but then you had Rollins and Kane making their presence known. Orton ended up getting disqualified, giving Reigns the win. But that wasn't really the end of the story.
Oh, no.
I mean, you noticed that the steel cage. I mean, the night began with a steel cage. It ended in a steel cage.
Yeah, which didn't even see that coming. I mean,
Right.
You basically saw the Authority basically coming and interfering with the match, and then you see the people bringing down the steel cage on him, setting everything
and
up.
then you realize they're going to trap Reigns. They're going to break him. They're going to take him out just like they tried to do with Dean. They've done with Dean Ambrose. And I mean, it's almost backfired at first when Reigns was able to drive off Rollins and Kane, and it was just Orton and Reigns. Reigns holding a steel chair, and it seemed like it was going to backfire. But then you had Kane distracting Reigns long enough for Rollins to pull a Jericho and come off the top of the steel cage with a crossbody, debilitating Reigns long enough for Orton to get the drop on Reigns with a number of steel chair shots, and then capping things off with Rollins giving Reigns a huge curb stomp into the steel chair, and ended with the Authority, Rollins, Kane, and Orton standing tall.
Which paints the picture perfectly. The war between Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, this is still going on. This isn't going to stop until either Reigns is gone completely, or Reigns finally gets his revenge on Rollins.
I mean, it's interesting you say that because the rumor going around the internet, around the dirt sheets, is that one of the big matches that's being scheduled for SummerSlam for Night of Champions is going to be Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. So I mean, considering that Reigns officially has 2 wins over Orton, you have to wonder maybe if they're just transitioning, if they're going to come back to the feud later, or they're just transitioning Reigns into a feud with Rollins until Ambrose makes his big triumphant return.
Yeah.
Now that is, I mean, that's going to be a blockbuster match.
Oh,
Reigns
yeah,
versus Rollins.
Absolutely. I mean, you thought that SummerSlam was a blockbuster match between Reigns and Orton. This match,
it's going to be
it's
personal.
going to take the cake.
It's going to be personal. It's going to be brutal. I mean, you're going to have 2 distinct styles of Reigns' power and Rollins' speed and finesse. It's going to be a blockbuster. It's going to be a 4-star match.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that.
All right. Now, like we said, we're not going to deny our female viewers the Diva Dish, typically brought to us by our lovely co-host Ashley, but her boyfriend, my fellow co-host Zach, will gladly take the reins for today.
Yep. So basically, she had planned to call out Nikki Bella, which actually makes perfect sense because I thought about calling her out for the longest time. So in short term, though, to kind of quote Ashley from what she said, we're kind of getting. Don't you think the drama, this whole feud between you and your sister, is kind of getting a little over redundant? I mean, you made accusation about how she should have died in the womb, how she's such a horrible sister, how she did this, and that, though, and all that, though. I'm sorry, but when you're sisters, ain't you supposed to love each other no matter what? Even if you're twin sisters, or even if it's a twin and sibling, no matter what, you're supposed to love each other. This is just getting ridiculous. Just shut up, put your tail between your legs, and you actually quit. I mean, honestly. Honestly, just go back to, your whole, the 5-second sugar candy with freaking John Cena, or whatever that drama you guys are going on between that. Oh, yeah, and actually I should have mentioned this, too. The fact that you're pushing John Cena into marriage or having kids, the guy doesn't want to have kids. Just be happy with marriage. Just come up with a compromise, though, because a relationship is 50-50. You're supposed to support John Cena. John Cena's supposed to be supporting you. It's not the whole 100%. I'm sorry, but when the heck did the world revolve around Nikki Bella? Last time I checked, it didn't. There was no news headlines that said, though, oh, it's all about Nikki Bella. Cry me a stinking river, woman. Please. Cry me a river.
I mean, exactly. I mean, be thankful for what you have. Be thankful what you have with John, and just be happy with it. And we found out what this all led up to. The big thing for this was Nikki getting a Divas title match.
Nice.
That's what this is all about. It wasn't about the drama. It wasn't that her sister was horrible. It was that she wanted to finagle for a Divas championship match, that she wanted to be the dominant Bella. That's all it was.
Nice.
It was never. I mean, I seriously doubt that this was all about drama. I mean, how do we know Nikki wasn't pulling this kind of stuff in high school? How do we know it's not the other way around?
Well, I mean, no one's really.
We only have one side of the story. We haven't heard a word out of Brie about any of the accusations that Nikki's made. Right. So eventually, I would honestly no like special Jerry Springer or Dr. Phil segments or anything. I just want to hear Brie, pure and simple, tell her side of the story.
Right. I mean, even if it's with Michael Cole, even though he's kind of a third hold down
exactly. Have a one-on-one interview and get the pure, simple, straight facts.
Exactly.
So now, moving on from the Diva Dish, we go into, with one of my favorite intro videos on the show, the Zack Attack.
Okay, here we go. Pardon my French for saying this, so I hope I don't get busted for this. that was a little bit of an epic failure. Do not try to sit at home. He's the phenom. He's the phenom. He's the phenom. Lights out. Lights out. We want this boy. You're my inspiration. Put up or shut up.
Your fear is immortal, man. Recognize and prove the hype.
Yes, I know the secret that's within your mind. You think all the people who were you are blind.
Alright, well, this week I actually, most of us just talked about Seth Rollins. I'm actually calling that guy out. Mr. Moneybank himself, the supposed architect and whatnot. Okay, you had made your point that you were the one that founded the Shield. You were the one that brought Roman Reigns and Ambrose to the WWE. Okay, my issue with that, all three of you guys made that impact a few years ago. You guys drove right back through the table. I mean, you guys made history on that as one of the most dominant factions in the entire WWE. So clearly, you should not be. It's basically you should be getting a third of the credit, not just the entire thing. And another thing I have an issue with is, why the heck assign with the authority? You have for Pete's sake, you're the first NXT champion, for crying out loud. You were one of the longest reigns on that. So why exactly go for the authority? Of course, unless you're like one of those of course, we all know the answer. You're basically a sellout.
Sold out, yeah.
Yeah, you basically sold out. Why? It just still boggles my mind. Like, on why exactly you wanted to do this. And also gives me the biggest question in history. When exactly are you going to cash in Money in the Bank? Or if you're ever gonna. Because, God forbid, though, if John Cena does win that, I'll give you a little bit of piece of advice, as I've done the last couple of episodes. Do it on a vulnerable John Cena. There you go, right there.
On an extremely vulnerable John Cena.
Exactly. We're literally talking like, I know Lesnar would
when he's physically destitute,
yeah.
John Cena.
Yeah, not to mention, I'm pretty sure, Lesnar's basically going to hand you him on a silver platter. He'll basically be there lying like a dead carcass. So, if you're going to do anything about that, before the time runs out, which it's starting to get close, you may want to start doing that opportunity quick. Otherwise, if you end up becoming another complete failure, like the last two, unfortunately one of them is John Cena, but another one, Damian Mizdown, then yeah, I will completely start comparing you in the same class as Damian Sandow, who that guy completely sucks. I want that guy gone, but enough said. I have said my piece about that. Rollins, you know what the heck I have told you. Believe that and believe the hype.
I think the point Rollins was trying to make was that he was the glue that held the Shield together. But the problem is he was tired of always holding the Shield together. He was tired of always having to settle things between Reigns and Ambrose. Mm-hmm. That was ultimately the reason. That reason I understand. I understand why. He grew tired of always having to keep them together, keep them a unified front.
Right.
But to take credit for what they did, to take credit for for creating Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was the one who tossed out 13 people in the Royal Rumble. He was the one who shattered Kane's 12-year record. Mm-hmm. Not Rollins, not Ambrose, Reigns. Reigns was the one who did that. Reigns was the one who's the sole survivor, Survivor Series 2013. Essentially, and Ambrose was one of the longest reigning United States champions. Of course, he didn't defend it as frequently, but he was still one of the longest reigning champions in modern history.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, just the three of them together, they actually they almost accomplished.
They were a unit. They were a brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean, heck, Ron, you were a tag team partner with the very same guy that you knocked out, Roman Reigns. I mean, you guys, when it came to the tag team division, you two, you pulled it off like a pro. I mean,
yeah, it was
why
just
diminish that?
And yeah, it was one of the most abrupt.
Oh.
Yeah, you see, this is one of the distracting moments we mentioned in our recent interview.
I apologize.
Do you want to be the future?
I apologize. I apologize. I apologize.
You didn't apologize?
He apologized. He apologized. Woo! He apologized.
Oh man. All right.
so-
Now we come to one of my favorite segments of this, the Ken's Den. Wow. Oh. And I swear that also never gets old.
No, it doesn't.
All right, so who do you got in mind for your Ken's Den, brother?
The focus of my Ken's Den segment today concerns Rusev and just the overall way his character has come across, just the way WWE has tried building his character. The biggest issue I have is that I think they've tried too hard to establish him as the hero of the Russian Federation.
Nice.
I get it. He's supposed to be undefeated. He's supposed to be dominant. He's supposed to be brutal. He's supposed to remind us of Russia's great strength. We have Lana reminding us. We have the ravishing Russian Lana reminding of us of that every single week. We just need to see Rusev in the ring doing it. We don't need Lana on the mic with her annoying fake Russian accent reminding us every single time. And it again, to quote Peter Griffin, it grinds my gears. It drives me out of my mind that they're going so far that when you had SummerSlam, one of the biggest marquee pay-per-views for WWE, the biggest party of the summer, in Los Angeles, one of America's greatest cities, and one of WWE's biggest landmarks, one of their biggest arenas, the Staples Center, and you had him on a big stage, the real American Jack Swagger versus Rusev. My pick was Swagger. I was hoping the 50 stars and the 13 bars would be flying high that night.
Yeah,
and yet,
so was I.
what did we see? Rusev winning the match by knockout, and the Russian flag being hung high above, with the Russian national anthem playing.
Yeah, and plus not to mention knocking out Zeb Coulter, which is really unnecessary. I mean, come on.
Right. So the key is, okay, we like him to be dominant, but he doesn't have to be an undefeated monster. He can have a close, narrow loss for Rusev. He can still look strong coming out of it.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to be some indomitable Russian monster. All right,
Yeah.
because we haven't seen that. All right, we've seen he has weakness. We've seen he's not indestructible with the way Swagger's gone after him and the way Mark Henry just laid him out with the world's strongest slam. Okay, he can have weaknesses. So the point I'm trying to make here is, all right, the way they've been inconsistent with how they're pushing. You're either got to push him full-born as being a completely indestructible monster like the likes of, say, Umaga, the Samoan bulldozer Umaga, or you got to have him as a realistic big wrestler who can be dominant at times, but who can also still have weaknesses.
Exactly.
You gotta have one or the other. You can't keep waffling between the two. And the other thing is, you can't just keep shoving him down our throats.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're on a big stage like SummerSlam, you need to have kind of a more reinforcing image. You gotta give the fans what they want in that case. What we wanted to see was the Star Spangled Banner flying high and the United States anthem playing.
And
That's
basically
what we wanted.
Hearing the entire crowd basically saying,
"We
the people."
That's what we wanted to see. That's what we didn't get, and we haven't really been getting what we want. Is that big American victory? That big over Russia, over Rusev.
Yeah, which I'm really hoping Mark Henry can finally shut this idiot up.
Because that's one of the matches that's on the card for Night of Champions is Mark Henry versus Rusev. Mark Henry being a former 2-time Olympian himself, the world's strongest man. It will be literally Rusev's biggest challenge to date.
Exactly. So, America, let's cross our fingers and say in our prayers and take our vitamins and just be rooting like crazy for Mark Henry.
Rooting for the boy from Silsbee, Texas, to bring it on home. Now we go into Pro Wrestling 101. So it's nothing out of the unusual, but just something that's an instrument of tag team wrestling is the tag team ropes. Essentially, you see those little strings hanging off the corners of the rings. Those are tag team ropes. Those essentially to make sure that they're staying in their corner, and if they stray off even the slightest, the ref will reprimand them to get back in the ring. Now there are times where heel wrestlers or even famous cheaters such as Eddie Guerrero would take advantage of this. One classic moment with the tag team ropes was that Eddie would take one tag team rope, tie it to another, and able to stretch himself down to like halfway between one turnbuckle and the other, so he could be able to extend a tag to his teammates.
Oh my! Wow.
Which was hilarious.
Eddie, I gave you props, brother. I gave you props, man.
All right. So that's a little bit of Pro Wrestling 101, a little bit of education from the old encyclopedia of professional wrestling.
Yeah, no word funk.
Now, going into our final segment, cleaning up the dirt sheets. A little interesting piece is that WWE is planning on supposedly selling its entire video library to Warner Brothers. Since they've already documented everything, since they're planning on launching the WWE Network, it brings up a lot of questions. And I think what they're trying to say is that they're doling out licensing and distribution rights. They're not actually going so far as to sell the entire video library, because that's something like an indie fed or a lesser federation would do. Much like WCW sold its video library and ECW sold its video library to Vince McMahon and WWE.
Right.
So I call bull on this particular piece of news because WWE selling its whole video library would be a bad move.
Oh yeah.
Because we're talking about home videos. We're talking about matches dating back 20 years, 20, 30 years. We're talking about an entire history of professional wrestling compiled into this library.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a riveting story.
I'm sorry. Was that sarcasm?
Yeah. Are we seriously boring you?
Are we boring you?
Yeah. Are we really boring you?
Sir, I am insulted.
You want to take a swing at this after?
And we carry a big stick.
Yeah, so don't mess with us. We got backup.
I'm bored.
Okay, that's it. One of y'all's getting hit. One way or another, one of y'all's getting the sucker
Oh, yeah, Greg points the finger.
Okay, yeah, whatever. One of y'all's getting it, so regardless.
All right. So we have come to the end of our show. Like I said, you can catch all our recent episodes and past episodes on the Wrestling Connections YouTube channel.
Yep.
You can leave plenty of likes and comments on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/The Wrestling Connection. You have our Twitter page @WConnection. We also have our any questions about the show, any suggestions for future What a Maneuver segments or superstar profiles.
Yep.
You can email us at wrestlingconnection@gmail.com.
And also though for next week, we once again bring back the Wrestling Connection pay-per
preview for Night of Champions,
Yep,
which is going to be eventful. It's going to be a blockbuster.
Guys, this time I think Greg and I are going to take the picks next week. I think we're going to win.
Oh, you guys think you're going to win this time?
$20 on it.
Oh, hey.
We're not doing bets.
We're not in Europe. You can't gamble on wrestling.
All right, how about pizza?
Pizza.
We can buy pizza.
Why did you have to go for one of my freaking weaknesses? Dang it.
Pizza.
Because I knew you'd give in.
All right. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, next week we have the pay-per preview for Night of Champions.
Yep.
But until then, be connected.
Stay connected.
Get connected. Stay connected.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.
And have an awesome weekend.
I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll
Find it, the Wrestling Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Best thing you ever done for me. Used to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life.